Hey guys, welcome back. We're gonna do a subscriber suggested video. This is Sylvester Clarke, West Indies' most feared yet forgotten fast bowler. Um, this is when that you guys said that he was he was a feared cricket bowler, I guess. I don't know, somebody you wouldn't want to get hit by. I don't think you'd want to get hit by anybody, but this is one of the scary ones to be hitting for or in front of. I don't know. But back to cricket, obviously. I've got a few of these that I have in my watch later file that you all suggested. I'm going to sprinkle them in with the regular videos that we do. And I will link this video in the description. It is from Cricket Stories, and I also have a link there for my Patreon. If you're enjoying the in-betweeners, you can go over there. I'm way further ahead. Just started season 3, and it's all unedited. And then I'll also have a link of how you can support the channel here on YouTube. So, yeah, let's go ahead and jump into it.
Bowler in world cricket. Those were not words from a random commentator. They were from Sir Garfield Sobers, talking about Sylvester Clarke. And when Gary Sobers calls someone the quickest and most hostile, you don't take it lightly. But Sobers wasn't alone. The mighty Viv Richards, who famously batted without a helmet just to intimidate bowlers, admitted Clarke was the only bowler he ever felt genuinely uncomfortable facing. David Gower said Clarke was the fastest he had ever encountered. And Jeff Boycott, never shy of words, confessed that Clarke simply scared me silly. Pace and bounce of the kind Clarke produced could not be trained for. It wasn't just physical pain, it was a psychological assault. You weren't just fighting for runs, you were fighting for survival. And yet, despite all this fear, respect, and raw destruction, Sylvester Clarke played just 11 test matches. The question is why? Why did a bowler this terrifying disappear from international cricket after just a handful of games? To understand that, we go back to where the storm began. Sylvester Clarke was born in Leadville, Barbados. No academy grooming, no fancy facilities, just a strong, quiet boy with broad shoulders, raw power, and a growing hunger for cricket. At just 21, he made his first-class debut for Barbados on 19 January 1978, and immediately, people knew something was different. He took 22 wickets that season at 25.18, including a spectacular 6 for 39 against Trinidad and Tobago, where he also took a hat-trick. That performance wasn't just good, it was an announcement. And selectors answered that announcement with a phone call to join the West Indies team. Clarke made his test debut on 31st March 1978 in Guyana against Australia. No one knew what was coming, but the Australians soon did. He tore through their batting lineup taking 6 for 141, a frightening, bruising, bone-rattling introduction that announced his arrival in no uncertain terms. Yet fate, seemingly jealous of his talent, intervened. An ankle injury forced him out for the rest of the series, but West Indies selectors had seen enough. They knew this man had something rare, something even Holding and Marshall didn't have in pure hostility. So, they sent him to India in 1978-79, where the pitches were supposed to kill pace bowlers. Instead, Clarke took 21 wickets in 5 tests, including dismissing Sunil Gavaskar 5 times. Yes, 5 times. He recorded his test best of 5 for 126 at the Chinnaswamy Stadium. Indians had faced pace before, but they had never faced this kind of pace. On the Pakistan tour in 1980-81, he continued his destruction with 14 wickets at 17.28. Colin Croft later said, Clarke battered Zahir Abbas, Majid Khan and Wasim Raja so much that he genuinely believes he caused 2 of them to retire sooner than planned. But what made Clarke so terrifying? His build for starters. He was tall, broad-shouldered, weighing about 210 pounds, and worked like a man who could collapse the stumps with his stare. He wasn't elegant like Michael Holding, nor was he mechanically perfect like Joel Garner. Clarke was raw, loud, heavy, and violent in his approach. If holding was whispering death, Clarke was thunderstorm on foot. His run-up wasn't silent. In fact, teammates said, as soon as you heard his footsteps pounding towards the crease, you knew it was going to be quick. His
Gosh, could you imagine being like the hitter there and having him barreling towards you, chucking that ball at you? That would be that would be terrifying.
bouncers were unlike anything the world had seen. Clarke's first type was brutal enough, a steep riser from a good length that hunted ribs, helmets, and courage. But the second was pure evil. It pitched outside off stump, looked harmless, then came back into your face at terrifying pace. Dennis Amiss called it the trapdoor ball. You could not judge it, you could not leave it, and you definitely could not survive it comfortably. And then, when you thought you had seen it all, he produced a screaming yorker at the toes, or an outswinger that tempted you into an edge. Stories of Clarke's terror filled dressing rooms even today. Zaheer Abbas was hit so hard that his helmet had a dent shaped like a half a cricket ball. Graham Gooch had his helmet split into two pieces. David Gower lost not only his thumb guard, but part of his thumbnail, which ended up near third slip.
I think one of you told me about that, about somebody losing their thumbnail. And actually, it may not have been about this. It may have been like a match that you all saw of younger players and they lost their fingernail. They said that was like the most blood they've ever seen.
Hughes, hit on the head by the third ball he faced from Clarke, later admitted he was just 2 millimeters from death. Steve Waugh described Clarke's spell as the most awkward and nastiest of his entire career. Even Wisden called Clarke as clinically fearsome as any of his contemporary colleagues. And when umpires told him to stop bowling so many bouncers, Clarke looked at them and casually said, "This is no ladies' game, man." So again, why did this man play only 11 tests? For that, we return to Pakistan, the fourth test at Multan 1980-81. Things escalated badly. Clarke, fielding near the boundary, was pelted with fruit, stones and rubbish by the crowd. His patience snapped. He picked up a brick-like boundary marker and hurled it back, seriously injuring a spectator. And although you could argue provocation and chaos, the damage was done, physically and professionally. He was suspended for 3 matches, but by the time he returned, West Indies had reshuffled. And when your competition includes Joel Garner, Michael Holding, Malcolm Marshall and Colin Croft, the door doesn't just close, it locks. He played one last test in 1982 at the Sydney Cricket Ground, and then, silently, without farewell or ceremony, his test career was over. Feeling exiled and with limited chances, Clarke took a controversial decision. He accepted a lucrative offer to tour apartheid South Africa in 1983 and 84 with the rebel West Indies team led by Lawrence Rowe. The moment he stepped into South Africa, he stepped out of official West Indies cricket forever. The ban was total. Ironically, in South Africa, he was sensational. He took 37 wickets at 16.16 in unofficial tests and 20 wickets at 18.45 in limited overs games. He became a legend, just not in official records.
Wow. So I think one of you did tell me, might have been who suggested this video, or a video on him, about the crowd throwing. So why would they, was it like a race thing or was it just like they were doing it to the other team? These guys, especially, especially if it was like a race thing. I know like baseball players and stuff here suffered a lot of that. I mean, you would have to have the patience of a saint to not respond to that.
Clarke's official test stats don't tell his true story. 42 wickets at 27.85 from 11 tests. But his real legacy lived elsewhere. In England, for Surrey, he became a legend, taking 591 wickets at 18.99 over 9 seasons. In 1982, he took 85 wickets and helped Surrey win the Benson and Hedges Cup. And by the end of his career, across 238 first-class matches, he had 942 wickets at 19.52, including 3 hat-tricks. And yet, Barbadians hardly saw his brilliance. He played only one test in the Caribbean, his debut at Borda, and only 20 matches for Barbados. So maybe the question isn't why did Clarke play only 11 tests? Perhaps the real question is, how terrifying would he have been if he had played 50? Sadly, Sylvester Clarke passed away in 1999 at just 44. But in dressing rooms, among fast bowlers, when the stories begin, when the legends of fear are whispered, and when names like Thompson, Lilly, Shoaib, Holding and Marshall are discussed, there is always silence when Clarke's name comes up. A different kind of silence. Not respectful, not admiring. A silence that says, he was the one you never wanted to face.
I bet. I believe it. I, I still don't know much about cricket. There's a lot of this that it's in one ear, out the other, because I don't know what all it means. Like some of the stats and stuff like that. But, not knowing very much about cricket, I was just like, oh, it's just kind of like a boring, like, I love baseball. I love American baseball, but it is boring. But I'll be, I would I love going to baseball games. They're my favorite. It's just the atmosphere. But cricket is way more violent than I ever thought it was. I don't know, one of you said something about it being a gentleman's game, but my goodness, the injuries and what they allow is wild to me that it's still around, and it's not like I was saying to somebody I think yesterday, like you look at American football, you look at rugby, and you think about all of these technologies that they've come out with to try to counter injuries, and it seems like they've done nothing with cricket other than modify a helmet or add a helmet, and it's still like optional. It's crazy. But yeah, really, really good video, really well done. Great suggestion from you guys. If there's somebody else you want me to react to, definitely let me know. I still have some like Andy Roberts, and Colin Croft. There's a few that I've still got in my watch later files to do. But yeah, this was a really good one. I enjoyed it. I hope you guys did it as well. Hit the like button, hit subscribe, share, hype, all that jazz, and have a